I agree with you there.
It's not, you're not being carried away. I mean, I'm assuming that you win the games that you ought to. The title is Manchester United's, isn't it?
Well, we hope so. As I say, I don't like making predictions with that, but we're not overconfident, but the team is playing with a confidence. They're playing with an assurance that they know what they're doing, and that's comforting for me to see this.
And the focus is to win that European Cup again?
Oh, absolutely. I think that, as we all experienced that night in Barcelona, the thing was so sudden, it was hard to enjoy it, if you know what I mean. There was not as if... I remember watching Forest when they won it, and way back in, was it 79, when they beat Malmo, and Cloughie's sitting in a seat out in the track, relaxed, looking back, because at 1-0, Malmo were never going to score. You know, I just wish I could enjoy that relaxation in the European final, which at this club you're not guaranteed to get.
Now, when Jaap Stam was injured earlier in the season, he's been such an important player to you over the last few seasons. Wes Brown's really come on. Stam's back, but what an influential season Wes Brown's had for you, hasn't
Oh,
he?
it's been fantastic. We've given the boy a rest now because what he's achieved in the months he's been in the team has been quite phenomenal. He's a truly top player. He's going to be a really class player. And his feet's on the ground, doesn't get carried away. And the rest he's getting just now, he's earned that rest. And he'll come back stronger and fresher.
I know you're a great believer in giving players a rest, as we saw recently with David Beckham. And some of the players have publicly said, oh, they don't like the way that the team is switched around. But at the end of the day, you know that physically they're not going to be able to cope with the demands now of the modern game.
Well, Gary Neville came out and he didn't actually say that, but you know, the press portrayed it as that. But I mean, Gary, like every other player in the team, they don't want to miss games. Who would want to miss a game of football? That's why we're in it. But they also know, and Gary came to me right away, he says, you know, I didn't actually say that. I says, I know you didn't say that, don't worry about it. What he's actually saying is, we all want to play in the games, but we know it's impossible. The manager has to have control about when to change the team and who he should change it with. And that's exactly what we've been doing for the last few years, and it's really helped us.
I know that big players and presence is something that you've admired out of some of your players, like Cantona, particularly the way he controlled the game. The goalkeeper at the moment, Barthez, a big favourite with the fans, but yeah, he's a quality keeper, isn't he? Oh,
he's been fantastic. He really has. His hunger to play. I mean, one of the things that it's not surprised us, but it's impressed us that here's a man. Just turned 29 now. He's won the European Cup with Marseille. He's won the European Championship with France. He's won the World Cup with France. He's won 3 or 4 championships with in France with Marseille, Monaco. And he comes to this place, and the man is so hungry you can't believe. He takes part in training sessions as if it's his last game ever.
And the fans have warmed to him as well, haven't they?
Absolutely, perfectly. I mean, Piers Michaels is a great hero and figurehead of this club, but they've taken to Fabian just the same way as they took to Peter.
Now, there are 1 or 2 players who've had brilliant seasons. 2 to me have stood out. Teddy Sheringham. I mean, it was a gamble for you to sign him in one way. He's more than repaid that. Then there was the rumour that he might not have another year, and what's he done this season? His scoring has been unbelievable, isn't it?
Well, it's an amazing story, really, because when I took him, it was after Eric had left. And I worried that people would maybe assess this as Eric's replacement, and I wasn't looking for that. I was looking for someone who, like Eric, could control our tempo of the game, which Teddy has been better at. And his first season he did well. The problem being is that he went through a period with Andy Cole, the two were playing too many games. And we got to, because of injuries, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer had picked up an injury in the pre-season against Inter Milan, kept him out to October. He then come back, he got a virus which kept him out right into the end of December, and he struggled the whole season with injury and illness. So the brunt of the pressure was on Teddy and Andy Cole, and of course, you know, found them out. We just couldn't freshen him up, you know. But I thought he had a decent season. That summer we bought Dwight York, and he and Andy had a fantastic season. But in the games when we changed, Teddy always brought something to the party. His particular way of playing always adds something to our game. And I was very pleased with his contribution. When it came to his contract at the end of this last season, I think Teddy worried the fact that I was trying to get Van Nistelrooy. Now, Ruud was a player that we looked at for the long term. He's just turned 22. He's an emerging player. I looked at Teddy's age. Dwight's 29, Andy's 29, and it was just one, you'd say, right, put him in the locker, you know, in a couple of years' time, he'll be a top player. And I think Teddy worried about that. But I don't think he ever wanted to leave. I don't think there was any doubt in our mind that he wanted to stay. The important thing was to get him to feel that we wanted him to stay. And I had a chat with him towards the end of the season. I said, look, I need to know what you're doing. And he said, well, what do you want me to do? I said, Ted, I want you to stay. I said, why should you leave here? I said, you're at the peak of your career, you're playing your best football ever. He said, well, I do, it's the regular football. I said, yeah, exactly, I know exactly. But do you think you would be a better player if I played you in every game here? And I pointed out that situation in his first season. He said, well, you do need a rest now and again, but I don't feel I need the rest. I said, we all say that. You know, but it was a good chat, and he signed. I was so pleased he did, because I knew he'd have a good season, because he always, as I say, brings something to the party. With Dwight York's earlier mission out the team, playing for Trinidad, and then he picked up an injury, Teddy got in right away and absolutely flew. And you see 18 goals, and it's just phenomenal.
He's had an amazing run, and I mean, it's not just the goals though, is it? It's his vision and his control.
No, his whole, everything he said, it's such an outstanding season. It's really been remarkable.
And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's finishing, now that's tremendous, isn't it? But sometimes he plays better when he comes off the bench, doesn't he?
Well, people say that, you know, that it's maybe we've used that too much. Maybe he needs more of the first team. And I think if he does more of playing right from the start, he'll adjust to all that. I don't necessarily think that's the case. I think he's capable of playing, scoring, and no matter when he starts or when he plays. If he plays a full game, he gets chances, he will score. And as you say, his finishing is phenomenal.
Now, David Beckham, I mean, what that lad's gone through in his career is unbelievable, but at present, there are a few midfield players playing better than him.
No, David he's actually added a little bit to his game this season, the goal threat, which he had as a younger player. And he's recovered that, he's got that back, and it's terrific to see that, because he is a good finisher, the lad. But he's having a terrific season. I think they're all having a good season, but David, just as you say, he's having a great season.